This week on Sister Wives, Truly comes to visit Kody and Robin. Kody and Janelle try to get on the same page about their marriage. And Robin and her family catch COVID. Hello and welcome to Reality Recapped, where I recap all of the trashiest reality shows. This week, I'm recapping Sister Wives. If you're new here, my name is Heather. I have a degree in psychology, and it's through that lens that I watch these shows and make my comments. Of course, I have not met with any of the people on the show, so everything that I state is simply an opinion. What I'm offering here is a little bit of education and a whole lot of snark.
It's been just over a month since Christine left. So we got logistics of getting Truly here, dealing with the importance of her being here, and then having her be comfortable when she comes to visit me.
I do not know what Kody is talking about. Dealing with the importance of having her come visit. Do you mean you're finally recognizing how important it is for you to spend time with your child? Because I feel like Robin probably had to work on him to even make any of this happen. And it's great that he's thought about how to make Truly comfortable, right? So when she comes over to the house, he's already thinking, oh, how can I make her comfortable? Let's see what he does to do that.
Truly!
The family's been apart for so long with all the COVID care and stuff like that, and then with the divorce. We haven't seen the family a whole lot.
Hi, Truly. Hey, how's it going?
The little kids seem really welcoming and warm to Truly.
I'm not sure how comfortable she's going to be here. I don't want it to become a bad experience where she doesn't like coming. All right, did you bring your pajamas?
No.
Aren't you going to stay the night?
I don't know. Mom said that it was up to me.
Okay, I guess we can have you wear a big t-shirt or something. Are you guys going to play?
Wait, I need to show you something.
Do you want to go help me do my work?
What's your work?
Well, I got stuff to build.
Kody has a habit of doing this. In his confessional, he says one thing, and then he exhibits behavior when he's being filmed that is completely in contrast to what he says in the confessional. So to go back, he said, I want her to feel comfortable. I want her to like being here. And then she comes there and he has nothing planned for her to do. He's saying, why don't you help me with my work? Like, what, is she going to go out there and help him peel logs? It's like, are you kidding me? How do you not have anything planned? It kind of makes her, like, what is she just supposed to hang out there? And you don't have any plans for her. You have no direction. That's going to make it awkward. And he is ill at ease around her, which is going to make her feel uncomfortable. It could be something really simple too, like something like a puzzle. They all have something to look at and work together on. You don't have to have direct eye contact, which can be really nice when you're in a stressful situation. And it gives everybody something to collaborate on, and you can talk while you're working on it. And I think that would be something that would help distract from the awkwardness of the first meeting and the first getting together.
I'm a little nervous, to be honest with you. All right, well, what should we do now?
I don't see anything wrong with him being nervous or feeling uncomfortable, but him asking the kids, what should we do now? Here's a man who says he wants to be in charge, and then he's in charge, and what does he do? He doesn't know what to do, so then he asks everybody else what to do. So that's the first thing that I want to point out. And then the other thing that I want to point out is he keeps talking about how he wants Truly to feel comfortable. Robin, her family, her kids do not film as much as everybody else. The one time they're filming, what are they filming? They're filming Christine's kid, her first time hanging out with them after her parents have separated. And so Robin has a camera on her and Aurora has a camera on her. Talk about feeling uncomfortable. In a difficult situation, you're 11 years old, and that's what ends up getting filmed in their household. It's just unfortunate that when they decide to film, they're filming Truly, and they get out of filming for the majority of the time. Maybe I'm being nitpicky. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that maybe I'm just being nitpicky.
Truly's going to show us the book she's reading, okay?
Is that the first one or second one? What is that one?
Oh, I need us to Truly.
Yeah.
You have to show. All right, Ari, you don't need to lift Truly.
Ari, settle down.
Ari, you don't need to lift Truly. Okay, thank you. You should show these to Aurora too, because Aurora likes
Can I
books.
show you?
Okay, so Kody doesn't have anything planned. So Truly is giving something to Kody that means something to her. It's these books that she's been reading. And what I think she's doing is what I would call kind of a bid. And we all do this. We all kind of extend ourselves to other people. This is something that matters to me, and she hands it to her dad, and her dad looks at the covers and then gives them back to her and says, you should show this to Aurora. He doesn't ask her any questions about the book. He doesn't act interested in what it is that she likes about them. And I think it's a real missed opportunity. It's like she's trying to connect with him, and he's like, yeah, go connect with other people in the family. It's not just about me. And it reminds me of the conversations that he's had with Christine of like, it's not just about the relationship with me. You have to have a relationship with everybody else.
I would love it if Truly had a great relationship with Kody. Right now, she's a little awkward around him and stuff, and just a little awkward, but I would love it if she was closer to him, definitely.
Robin says that having Truly over makes the family still feel like a family and have some normalcy. And there's a lot of outside stress, more than just Christine leaving in the family. And now we go to Janelle and Kody talking about their relationship.
This summer has been rocky for Kody and I. We had such big disagreements about the trailer, how it all went down. I'm really looking to kind of just soothe the water. I mean, there's still problems. There's still a lot of disagreements. And there's still the issue of my kids, my boys, especially, and Kody, but I'm just trying to bring us back to a more stable place. So I'm hoping to start a conversation that will do that.
Oh, it's fun to eat out. I don't think we've eaten out.
Oh, it is the funnest time, too. I just had a good time.
He's going to make this hard on her. He's definitely going to make her work for anything that he gives her. Now, on a side note, now I want wood-fired pizza. That sounds so good. And Fat Olives, what a great name for a restaurant. Janelle mentions Thanksgiving and says that Maddie and Caleb are thinking about coming out. And Kody says, well, if they come out, then there's a lot of things that we got to think about and we got to figure out and we got to plan. And then Janelle's response is,
I had thought if I'd really kind of like to go there for Thanksgiving.
I decided to take the easy way out and go to Maddie's for Thanksgiving, because then there doesn't have to be any decisions made about the COVID rules or about the tension that's going on between Kody and my boys.
Janelle's in a pretty tough spot here. It's common to have family members that aren't getting along, and how do you manage that when that comes up? The thing that you have to resist is getting involved. Allow the people that are having the problems with one another to be responsible for their own relationship with that person. And there's not a lot you can do from the outside, and honestly, it ends up muddying the waters a little bit. I would listen to somebody, but I wouldn't necessarily put in a lot of my own opinion on what should happen. And you definitely have to be careful about being pulled into the disagreement, because then what you can find is that now a person is not only mad about this person and what they said, now they're mad that you're siding with that person, and it can just kind of like grow an argument. I think the best way to handle stuff like that is to say, I really would like for you guys to figure things out and to get along, and allow the people that are responsible for the state of their relationship to work on it and not get dragged into it. Very, very challenging to do, though.
There's a lot of stuff that has gone under the bridge here that I'm not just going to ignore when we get together as a family. Because I'm not going to just sit and have everybody over and act like everything's peachy and fine without working those things out.
At face value, if what he's saying is accurate, I totally agree with him. I think he should meet with his family members and talk things out and solve things. And you don't do that on Thanksgiving. You do that way before Thanksgiving. And you don't do it because Thanksgiving is coming up. You do it because you're a family.
I'm not going to have them come to my house for Thanksgiving if they've got animosity towards me or somebody that is connected to me. Maybe Garrison should try and reach out to me and sort of make amends.
So what Kody is doing here is essentially telling Janelle, if you want to have the kids over to my house, you need to reach out to Garrison, and you need to tell him he needs to reach out to me, which is a really unfair thing to do to Janelle. It's not Janelle's responsibility to relay that information. Also, why isn't Kody reaching out to Garrison? Again, Kody acts like he wants to be in charge, and then he does nothing to lead. He does nothing to pave the way, and that's part of being a leader, is you're the one who says sorry. You're the one who reaches out. You're the one who shows vulnerability, even when you don't feel like it. You're the one who's extending the olive branch. That's what a leader does. A leader doesn't sit back and then beg his wife to talk to their child to come and kiss his ring. Okay. That's a snark. The snark came out.
I mean, we're going to have to wait for the kids to all sort of come to their own whatever.
Kody and my boys are very estranged. He doesn't even want to see their point of view. He's like, you've offended me. You've offended those that are close to me, a.k.a. Robin. You guys have to come mea culpa and apologize and grovel. You know, my boys are just not going to do that.
So what he's asking of Janelle is to be on his side. And now he's going to move into loyalty. And when he talks about loyalty, what I think he means is you're always on my side. It doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong. You're always siding with me. I think that's very typical of narcissists too. They don't seem to understand that sometimes you can be wrong. It doesn't make you a bad person. And people aren't going to support you when you're wrong. The good people around you should say, hey, you're kind of getting off your trail here. Hey, you're heading in a direction that I know your values are not in alignment with. Those are the good people you want around you that kind of wake you up when you're misstepping. And everybody missteps. There's nothing wrong with misstepping. But creating a situation where you only have yes people around you is going to end up getting you off your own course.
I'm not asking for an apology. I'm simply wanting to clear the air.
If that's true, why aren't you picking up your phone and calling them? It's really simple to do.
I think the bulk of what is really hurting you is how everybody was during COVID, right?
No, it's not just about me. They started actually putting Robin in their crosshairs, and the attack started going that direction. There's been a lot of talking about certain people in the family.
I received phone calls from Gabe and Garrison blaming me for what was going on with the family.
Somebody commented that Robin's curls look like Nellie on Little House on the Prairie, and I so agree. Like, break your curls, girl. Get your fingers, get them in there, work it out. It's unfair to blame Robin for Kody's behavior. Kody is responsible for his behavior. Do I suspect that Robin knows exactly how to manipulate Kody into doing what she wants and making him feel like it was his idea the whole time? Yeah. He's not very bright. As long as you're giving him the attention that he wants and the perceived loyalty that he wants, he'll be on your side.
I have 3 wives before I even have 1 child. When Robin comes to the family, she gets time with me and she gets attention to her children. I think that was just too much for some of them. I think they were just jealous.
I think what happened was you created a situation where one person was getting treatment that was different than everybody else. And yeah, that does create jealousy. What he's able to do here is absolve himself of any responsibility in how they were feeling, even though his actions caused them to feel that way.
There's this unwillingness for some of the family to accept other members of the family or to communicate with other members of the family, or to make amends with other members of the family.
Man, point that finger right back at yourself. You just told Janelle to have your kids call you. Who's the one who's doing this? See how twisted everything is? He's never at fault. He accuses other people of the exact thing that he's doing himself.
To hear that Kody is telling Janelle that the boys need to apologize to me, I didn't know he was doing that. I just want to clear the air with the boys. I love those boys.
So again, have you called them? You have their number. You said that they called you and they texted you. So have you called them? Have you tried to reach out? Or are you just sitting there complaining about them, saying things to you, and then not reaching out, and then acting shocked when Kody's bringing it up with other people?
I have somebody in my life who is fundamentally loyal to me, who sees me as the head of the family. I'm saying to you that you and I get that if you're loyal to me.
I just can't believe what he's saying.
I'm not telling Janelle to be more like Robin. I'm telling Janelle just to be loyal. I have 100% loyalty from Robin. So, okay, yeah, I guess that's like Robin. Nope, I'm just asking for loyalty.
This need for loyalty is very common with narcissists, and they essentially say, like, I will treat you well if you do X, Y, and Z. So they make this conditional kind of arrangement where if you're not getting treated well, it's because you're not doing what you need to do on your end. I would say Kody isn't being loyal to her, but it's funny that it never gets looked at in that direction, does it? It's always in from what Janelle's doing for him rather than what he should be doing for her.
I mean, here he is blatantly saying what I've suspected. This person is loyal and treats me like the head of the household. And if you really want to be a wife to me, this is how you need to be. I'm not going to become Robin.
I want to say the most frustrating thing that isn't really being talked about right now is the fact that Robin is living this financial windfall. She came into the family. She was in debt. She has never taken care of her kids herself. She's always had nannies. She's always had help. And she's living a life off of the backs of the other 3 wives. She has come into a family and she has cracked open that nest egg, and she is the main beneficiary, her and Kody. If nothing else existed but just that financial piece, how would anyone have a good relationship with her? It's like creating a situation where even if it's just Kody giving her all the money and giving her all that control, it creates a dynamic where she's never going to be respected. She's never going to have good relationships. And understandably so.
You act like it's only one side. It frustrates me beyond belief that he perceives this one wife, this one relationship, as she's so perfect. She's such a saint. She was so nice to us, and she was treated so wrong. So everybody better apologize for being mean to her, or else this isn't going to work anymore. This is the subtext I've been hearing this whole damn day. Kody's been a broken record about this for the last little bit, how Robin's been so victimized. She was so sweet to everybody. She put herself out there, and I don't perceive it that way. I perceive that we were plural families trying to figure it out, and she always kind of kept herself a little separate. The situation was reversed. Would you be acting this defensive about me?
You and I have been acting like we weren't a married couple for most of our marriage, Janelle.
I don't appreciate him getting in her face like that and he's being very aggressive right now. I do not appreciate that at all. But the subtext that he's saying is, you're not a loyal wife, so I'm not going to treat you like that because you're not a loyal wife. See, the thing is, you don't automatically get respect in Kody's world. You have to treat him exactly how he wants to be treated. And if you're not getting what you wanted in the relationship, it's because you didn't give him first what he wanted. It's always that twist. It's always that twist.
I don't know why it's been okay for so many years, and it's not now, but you actually live like a single woman.
I always felt like I had to make my own decisions for me. I thought that's what plural marriage was about, like being independent. A long time ago, I was encouraged to be independent. That's what you did as a plural wife. I'll ask him and my needs get ignored. And everything gets ignored. So guess what? I decided to be my own hero, and I rescued myself, and I started doing things for myself.
So let me recap that. So he's in a situation where he's decided to be polygamous. He has several wives. He is not meeting the needs of all of those wives. And they've asked for his help. He hasn't been able to provide it. So they take care of themselves by making the best decisions for their lives and their family. Instead of being appreciated for that, he's like punishing her. Like, it's this weird catch-22, right? So she's supposed to need him and need all of his help, but he doesn't have enough mental faculties or energy or what have you left over to help everybody. So she takes care of it herself, and then that's seen as some slap in the face too. Again, you can't win with people like this. It doesn't really matter what you do. It doesn't matter how perfect you are. If you're not feeding their ego in the way that Robin feeds his ego, it doesn't matter what Janelle does. She's never going to succeed with him.
I feel like Janelle is misinterpreting our entire marriage here.
Different events, different things that happen carry different importance, and things are remembered differently by each partner in a long-term relationship.
Yes, people remember things differently, but she is dealing with somebody who twists facts and manipulates stories so that they're never responsible for their part in anything that's happening. You can't interact with a narcissist in the same way that you would with a healthy person who isn't trying to manipulate you. It's just two different worlds.
I'm trying to determine now if we're viable in the future.
I don't think it's unreasonable for me to expect that my wife would be loyal to me and that she would be an accountable person.
Of course not. But it's interesting that you're not doing those things for her, right? Again, there's not a lot of reality in this conversation, so it's kind of pointless for her to even be having it.
Good wife, we were great. I was making my own decisions, and we would come together, and it felt like you were okay with that.
For me, emotionally, it's sinking. The ship is sinking.
Look, I'm not someone who throws the towel in on a marriage, but it seems almost like there's this gulf now, especially where he's like, well, I want this, and I'm like, I can't give you that.
I don't think you and I know how to be real about things with each other.
Well, I mean, we've obviously had a functional marriage for a long time, and you're my best friend. You're the person I want to tell everything to.
So this is an olive branch of, you are my best friend. I still want to talk to you. I still want to tell you everything. And if he really wanted to work on things, that's a great spot to start. It's, okay, me too. Let's work on things and let's figure things out.
To say that I'm close to Janelle would be an overstatement. I don't want to have happen with Janelle what has happened with Christine. I mean, you got to know it too. There's something fundamentally wrong here.
I just feel like I have to do everything I can to make this work. I'm not even sure it's possible to come back from where we are.
Why does she think I'm singing the breakup song?
Oh, I can help, because she has ears, and she's listening to all the things that are coming out of your mouth, and you're essentially telling her it's not working out. and you want her to be like Robin, I mean loyal. And she's not having it. That's why.
We're communicating as like it's wrong. We're not getting this.
Here's what I think. Kody doesn't want to be married to Janelle, but he doesn't want to be the one to end the relationship. So he's trying to push her into a direction where she's going to leave.
I still have so much affection for Kody. I don't know if it's love.
I want to eat something before it gets cold. It's not safe enough for me to say here, hey, sweetheart, I'm brokenhearted because of this divorce, and I need you to help me heal, please. But I'm going through heartbreak. Are you a strong enough woman to help me heal?
Of course, again, Kody is saying in his confessional things he's not saying to Janelle. He says it's because he doesn't feel like it's safe to do that. I think it's ridiculous. If anyone can relate to how sad they are that Christine is gone, it would be Janelle. She's the closest to her. She was very upset, and the only one who seems genuinely upset that she's gone. I'm not buying Kody's whole, oh, I'm so brokenhearted spiel. It just doesn't feel genuine at all. Maybe he does feel that way. I'm not buying it.
When you talk about how we're resetting and stuff like that, it just seems like, yeah, we're resetting, and I don't know I can't define my own family. Buying an RV and moving into it.
Look, I understand.
Let me just explain a few things, okay? Single woman decision. Going to see your kids without your husband for holidays, single woman decisions.
Okay, I'm spitting mad now. I could stay home and hang out with he and Robin and Robin's kids. The RV, he didn't show up and say, let's help find you a rental. No, he was just sort of like he was MIA.
I was begging Janelle to rent or to buy. She would have been able to afford the monthly payment on the mortgage. But she got mad at me when I was trying to get her to do that.
I realize the trailer's been a hot button. It turned out very different than I thought.
The dogs are a hot button. Dogs in my bed are a hot button. Dogs in my bedroom are a hot button.
Okay. Usually the dogs have slept by the side of the bed. Recently, they have started to sleep in the bed more.
It sounds like they didn't used to sleep in the bed, and now they're sleeping in the bed more. And Kody's never there, so why would she correct that if it doesn't bother her? What's the incentive?
These decisions that Janelle makes, like where she's going to rent a house and buying an RV, make an impact on my life when I'm not really consulted for it. It's like, I don't want to live in an RV, but if I don't live in the RV with her, then somehow or another, I am abandoning her.
I really hate to say this, but I can understand where Kody's coming from, honestly. I don't think he's done a good job of being there for Janelle, though. Like, if he really didn't want to live in an RV or he really wanted her to rent a place, did you actively go out and look at places? And yeah, you don't want the dogs in the bed, so can you buy them like a really nice, warm dog bed that is kind of near the bed where they can sleep and they're not in the bed? I mean, like, I hate it when he has a point because I dislike him so much.
I know I don't really want to give up my independence, but I do need to consider you more. I mean, do you want the plural family still? I feel connected to you. I mean, you're my best friend, you're my lover, everything. Like, I want to stay.
This surprises me. It's very vulnerable. I wonder what he's going to say.
Can you explain to me why at this point in this juncture, and maybe it's simple, but can you explain it, why it's easier to have a relationship with Christine than it is to have a relationship with Robin?
Okay, it could be editing. We don't know. But for him, if this is how it happened and how it unfolded, for him to totally ignore what she just said and move the topic onto Robin and her not being close to Robin, wow. That should make her spitting mad.
And I realized the dichotomy. This is why Christine's leaving, I think. It isn't just because of me. I'm looking at her, and she's skipping down the road, and she's gotten out of the storm. But she's out of the storm she created.
We all had part in that, Kody.
I didn't want a divorce on my record here.
Then maybe you should have worked on your relationship more. Maybe you should have taken the therapy seriously. Maybe you should have listened when Christine had been complaining for years that she didn't feel like there's enough intimacy, enough of a connection, and enough time together. Maybe if you had paid attention to that and altered your behavior, but you didn't. You heard what she said, you dismissed it, and eventually people leave.
I'm going through a divorce, but my wife doesn't even care. But she does care about my ex-wife.
I don't think that's true. I think she definitely cares. Do you want to go through a second divorce? Because what you're doing now is not going to keep her around. And as far as her caring about your ex-wife, yeah, they spent a life together. Of course she does. This is going back to loyalty. And Janelle cannot remain friends with Christine and still maintain a relationship with Kody. I think he would never allow that because it feels like he is not being respected and she's not being loyal to him. She's choosing Christine over him.
Christine talks about lack of intimacy and all these things that were problems, and that was not my marriage experience. Kody and I were great on all fronts.
I think that's great if that's true. I don't fully buy it. I also think that Janelle doesn't need the same emotional intimacy, possibly the same physical intimacy that Christine needed. It's hard to look at the show and not see that Janelle's been slighted quite a bit. It's hard to know if she is saying what she wants to have been true or if she is saying what her experience was.
Janelle was always really secure with her relationship with Kody. I mean, always secure. Even when they were going through struggles, she was always like, yeah, this is just marriage. There's ups and downs.
I think that can be a really healthy outlook too, to see marriage as like a whole system, and sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, but hopefully overall it's enjoyable and you still want to be in it.
We can work this stuff out, but we're going through a transition where I think we're going to have to work it out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kody, I think you and I are at a very logical place. The kids are now leaving, and all of a sudden I'm looking at you, and I'm like, oh, wow, maybe we should have a better relationship.
I was so sure Janelle was getting ready to leave, and unfortunately this conversation makes me think like hasn't quite worked her way there yet. I'm hopeful that she's going to make the decision that's really best for her and her own best interest.
I feel like I'm fighting for our relationship.
That is not what I'm seeing at all, but I could be wrong. Maybe you are. Maybe this is your best foot forward. It's pretty pathetic, though. So now we go to Robin, who has COVID. Her whole family has COVID, except for Aurora. Kody was feeling so bad. At one point, he even called his son Gabe, who had had COVID the year prior, and asked him about his symptoms and what was going on. Gabe tells us it happened to be on his birthday, and his dad did not remember his birthday. And this is what Gabe had to say.
I didn't have done this, but I did anyway. I didn't remind him that it was my birthday because I wanted to see if he remembered, and he didn't. And so to him, it was just a phone call, just asking me about COVID.
Poor Gabe. I mean, clearly he's holding out hope that his dad still cares about him. They had a close relationship when he was younger, and I think it's really hard on him now as an adult and how distant his dad is and how uninvolved his dad is. And I really feel for him. That's got to be really painful.
A couple hours after that, he tried to call me back, tell me happy birthday and make up for it. And that's the last time I ever talked to my dad.
It's unclear how long ago that was, and if this separation is a permanent one, or if it's one that maybe he just needed a break and take care of himself for a little while, and then potentially he might reconcile with his dad. It's really hard to understand. If you have a healthy relationship with a parent, it's really hard to understand why anyone would not speak to their parents. But as you can see here, keeping in communication with his dad ends up hurting Gabe more. It's not just that they don't have a close relationship now, it's he gets reminded of how little of importance he holds in his dad's life. And that can feel very painful to be reminded of again and again. Robin ends up going into the hospital to get a chest x-ray and to be assessed because she's had COVID for longer than a week and she's still not doing well. Kody, who's sitting outside in the truck, isn't able to go into the hospital with Robin because, as we all remember, it was just the patients that went in. He's saying that the hospital seems very busy. Yeah, they were all overwhelmed. And he's saying, well, maybe I should just go in there. I do have COVID and I could just, but then no, we would get separated. Typical self-absorbed Kody is just focused on the fact that he doesn't have Robin next to him, but he's not saying how worried he is about Robin and her getting better. He's not talking about how worried it is for the kids and how scared they must be. He's only thinking of himself, and should he try to trick the staff so that he can try to be next to Robin in the hospital during COVID? No, you shouldn't. Inside the hospital, Robin tells us that her tests have come back, and even though she does have COVID, and her lungs do sound like she has COVID. She's cleared to go home, and she ends up getting better eventually, and the rest of the family also heals. Back at home, Kody tells us that he is having a really hard time. And it seems like he's alluding that it's to COVID, but it really sounds like what he's dealing with is depression. He's having trouble sleeping. He's having trouble concentrating and focusing. And he describes driving by Christine's house and needing to take his sweatshirt off because he's having trouble breathing when he sees the house and he sees that there's new people living there. And what he's describing, I don't know, I wasn't there. It sounds like a panic attack is what he was having. And I'm wondering if finally the emotions are beginning to bubble up, and because he doesn't fully understand, it doesn't seem like he really understands himself that well and his emotions that well and how he really feels. I think he's experiencing a lot of loss, and he's grieving, and it sounds like he's going through a bit of a depression, which is unfortunate. That's really awful to have to go through. But that is also, sometimes that happens, when major life changes happen. Depression is something that can be treated. There's a lot of different ways to go. You can do medication, you can do therapy, you can do specifically cognitive behavioral therapy has evidence around it that it does help decrease depression. There's also, you can also do all of those things all together in tandem, but it's important to treat it as an illness and to be really gentle with yourself as you're walking through that, because it is a very tough illness, and there tends to be a lot of self-hatred when you're having those feelings. You're like hypercritical of yourself. So Kody says that he's really happy that he's beaten COVID and he doesn't want to socially distance anymore. He wants his life to go back to how it was, and he talks about he's been thinking a lot about the marriages and kind of what his part was. And he talks about being at Fat Olives and with Janelle, and that he was begging her for a deeper relationship during that conversation. And I don't remember that happening. I don't remember him ever articulating that. Maybe that's what he felt inside. But again, he says things in the confessional that he doesn't do in real life. And I'm very curious about that disconnect, and how aware he is of how he actually is showing up and what he thinks he's saying. He then goes on to say that he feels so rejected by Janelle, which is just like, it just feels insane for him to say that, because we're all watching and it doesn't seem like that's what's happening at all. A very tearful Kody says that when he had COVID, he was looking at pictures of the family and he was just sobbing because he felt like they would never be there again. They would never be a family like that again. And it seems like what he's saying is that this was all because of COVID. The division of the family is because of COVID, and the fact that Christine left, the catalyst was COVID. And what it sounds like Kody is saying is he did all these sacrifices and it totally ruined the family, but it was the right thing to do because they got COVID and COVID was horrible. His wife, Robin, agrees with him. This is why we did everything that we did. COVID's terrible and we never wanted to get it. This is such a bizarre display of twisting things so that Kody's kind of the martyr in this situation, right? He gave everything to avoid COVID, and the family didn't make it through because they didn't believe in him. Wow. And of course, this is perfect because it absolves him of any responsibility. He was doing the best thing for everybody else. Nobody else could understand that except for Robin. And again, he's doing all of this. He might be doing it subconsciously to protect his own ego, because he can't really look at himself and his own flaws because, again, he has low self-esteem. So it's unfortunate because it's really hard to learn if you're not willing to be introspective and be honest with yourself about your own shortcomings. And we all have shortcomings. There's nothing wrong with having shortcomings. That's proof that we're human. And it's okay. It's okay to start in one spot and move to the direction that you want to be in. That's fine. So now we go to Robin's house. It's Halloween, and so they're all dressed up, and the kids are going to go from door to door. So every door in their house, and even their daughter's in the car and handing out candy. And behind you see the trailer, and a lot of people are speculating that Dalton lives in the trailer. He might, but I doubt the daughter lives in the car. I think they were just doing that for Halloween. Of course, there's nothing wrong with living in a trailer if he decided he wanted more space. Totally in support of that. I doubt that Robin is letting him live in a trailer, though. Kody says that he's really happy to be out of COVID, but that he's also really sad because his large family is never going to be how it was before. They're probably all never going to be together again, and he's really sad about that, but he's happy that he survived COVID. That's it for this week, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, and if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it makes a huge difference on my end. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care.